When I was a boy, I was in the Boy Scouts, and they had a slogan: be prepared always. I want to just read some scripture to you this morning with not as much commentary from me, but Matthew chapter 24 gets a lot of attention. And if you recall, in my How to Study the Bible series, I talk about that when the Bible was put together, it was man that later came and added chapters and verses to help it make it easier for us to find stuff. It's not a bad thing, but sometimes we'll read scripture and we'll get to the end of the chapter and we'll think, okay, we're done with that part. Moving on to the next thing. Matthew 24 gets a lot of exposure for its talk of the last days. But Matthew chapter 25 begins with two parables that I want to read to you. So, Matthew 25, starting with verse 1. Then the kingdom of heaven will be like 10 virgins who took their lamps and went to meet the bridegroom. 5 of them were foolish, and 5 were wise. For the foolish took their lamps, they took no oil with them. But the wise took flasks of oil with their lamps. As the bridegroom was delayed, they all became drowsy and slept. But at midnight there was a cry, "Here is the bridegroom, come out to meet him." And all those virgins rose and trimmed their lamps. And the foolish said to the wise, "Give us some of your oil, for your lamps are going out." But the wise answered saying, "Since there will not be enough for us and for you, go rather to the dealers and buy for yourselves." And while they were going to buy, the bridegroom came, and those who were ready went with him to the marriage feast, and the door was shut. Afterwards, the other virgins came also, saying, "Lord, Lord, open to us." But he answered, "Truly I say to you, I do not know you. Watch therefore, for you know neither the day nor the hour." So, first parable is basically you have 10 virgins waiting for the bridegroom. There's been a lot of videos about how the second coming of Christ relates to a Jewish wedding. You may know about, you may not, but basically it wasn't weddings like today where you had a firm date, we're getting married on this day at this church. The man went away, and then, typically they like to come in the middle of the night to collect their bride with all their bridesmaids. And so basically, these virgins are waiting for a bridegroom, and 5 of them didn't bring extra oil with them. There's a lot of discussion of the Ninth of Av, Feast of New Wine, Tish B'Av. There's a lot of expectation this week for the Lord to return. But if he is delayed, are we going to grow weary and waiting and sleep? Will we wake up and we won't have oil in our lamps? So we need to be prepared always for no matter how long it takes. Then you have the parable of the talents is the next parable. So keep in mind, we've gone through talking about what the end times will look like. I believe that these parables aren't the next in line by chance. But here, starting in verse 14 of Matthew 25, here's the parable of the talents. "For it will be like a man going on a journey who called his servants and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 1, and another 2, and another 1, to each according to his ability. Then he went away. He who had received 5 talents went at once, traded with them, and made 5 talents more. So that he had the 2 talents, so also he that had the 2 talents, 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Now, after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward to bring 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered me 5 talents. Here I made 5 talents more. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You've been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. Then also he who had the 2 talents came forward, saying, Master, you delivered to me 2 talents. Here I made 2 talents more. His master said to him, well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also who had received the 1 talent came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid, and I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here you have what is yours. But his master answered him, You wicked and slothful servant. You knew that I reap where I have not sown, and I gather where I scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. So take the talent from him and give it to him who has 10 talents. For everyone who has will more be given, and he who I cannot read this morning, and he will have an abundance. But from him who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness, in that place where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So, in this parable, master goes away, gives 3 of his servants money, 2 of them invest, 1 of them doesn't. So, the lesson, the application here is not, are you investing in the stock market? The application here is, what are you doing with what God has given you? Are you making full use of your talents and abilities that have been given to you? And by the way, talent back in these days was a unit of money. It's not talking literally about talents, but I think it's interesting that, your talents, your abilities, your spiritual gifts, are you using those? I've become more active on YouTube in the last few weeks, but I haven't been wasting my talents in all that time prior to this. I've been very active in my church. I've been doing a bunch of other stuff, just things that aren't visible to you guys on YouTube. So think about this as people are very excited for this week, and don't be discouraged if, the master's coming is delayed. I do believe we're in the last days. I do believe we're closer today than we were the day before or the day before that. But I'm worried that a lot of people by the end of this week, how many people are very active for Christ right now that are going to just fade away tomorrow or next week? They're just going, you know what? This was a fun ride, but I'm getting off now. So, till next time, have a great day.